Stories Philippines podcast.
A cold wind slips through the cracks of an old window, carrying the distant, trembling sound of thunder that vibrates through the bones of the house. For a moment, it is easy to believe that the world itself holds its breath, suspended between fragile beauty and sudden destruction. Some mountains, after all, are more than stone and earth. They are living memory made solid. Some are wounds in the skin of the world, never fully closed, always bleeding the past into the present. Tonight, we stand at the foot of one such mountain, a place both revered and feared in equal measure, where tragedy repeats itself with every new tremor and every fresh burst of fire. What does it mean to live in the shadow of a volcano? To carry in your steps the knowledge that the ground beneath your feet was born from longing, loss, and anger. In Albay, in the heart of the Bicol region, a legend is whispered at dusk and echoed in the low, relentless rumblings of Mayon Volcano. They say the perfect cone hides the grave of a beautiful maiden, her love story scorched into the land, her sorrow shaping the fragile fate of generations who came after. But what, we might ask, is beauty if it is inseparable from destruction? What curse can be so deep and old that it endures as long as the mountain itself? Before we journey any deeper into this tale, take a gentle word of caution. The story you're about to hear is steeped in grief and shadow, braided with threads of love and loss, hope and devastation. It is a narrative that may unsettle the heart and linger long after the final words. Listen with care and with respect, and remember, this land remembers everything it has ever seen, and its memory runs as hot and as relentless as the lava beneath. I am Jessica, and you are listening to Stories Philippines podcast. This is Season 5, Episode 10, The Lady of the Volcano's Slopes, Mayon Volcano, and the Daragang Magayan Myth. If you have stories of your own, of love, loss, or the strange mysteries that haunt your nights, please send them to our email address listed in the show notes. You can find detailed show notes and ways to support the program in the episode description. For exclusive episodes, behind-the-scenes material, early releases, and bonus interviews, consider visiting our Patreon page. And don't forget to join our community on social media, where we share daily folklore facts, updates, discussion threads, and listener stories. Mayon Volcano rises 2,462 meters above the plains of Albay, its perfect cone slicing the sky with an elegance that seems almost impossible to believe. For centuries, travelers, painters, poets, and scientists have stood in awe of its near-flawless symmetry. The name Mayon comes from the Bicol word Magayan, meaning beautiful. Yet for the many people who live in its shadow, beauty is a double-edged thing, alluring and deadly at the same time. The volcano is not a distant relic of a long-gone past. It is alive. Its eruptions are not merely historical footnotes, but part of a continuing, living memory passed down through generations. There have been more than 50 recorded eruptions since the year 1616. The deadliest of these occurred in 1814, when a catastrophic eruption buried the town of Cagzawa beneath a rain of lava, scoria, and ash, reducing a thriving community to ruins. Today, the lonely Cagzawa ruins, an isolated church tower jutting from the earth, stand as a haunting monument to the cost of living beside such breathtaking power. Nevertheless, the resilient people of Bicol endure. They plant rice and vegetables in the rich volcanic soil, build homes, raise children, and maintain communities that weave practical knowledge with spiritual belief. They tell stories to explain the forces around them, to teach, to warn, and to keep memory alive. At the center of many of these tales is the legend of Daragang Magayon, the beautiful maiden whose tragic death, the story holds, gave rise to Mayon Volcano itself. The legend is ancient, older even than much of the written record in these islands. It tells the tale of Magayon, the beloved daughter of Datu Makusog, the chief of Rawis. After her mother Dewani died in childbirth, Magayon was raised with intense love and protection. Her beauty and kindness became the pride of her father and the envy of men across nearby villages. Suitors arrived from every tribe, bearing gifts of gold, pearls, and elaborate offerings, yet none could claim her heart. One of the rejected was Pugtuga, a fierce warrior and skilled hunter who believed wealth and force could win her. He pressed his suit with gifts, threats, and persistence, but Magayon refused him time and again. Then there was Panganoron, a quiet, gentle youth from the distant Tagalog lands. He first saw Magayon by the Yawa River when she lost her footing and nearly drowned. Panganoron plunged in to save her, and in that perilous moment, a deep, mutual affection grew, soft, steady, and inevitable. Their brief happiness inflamed jealous hearts. When word of their engagement spread, Pugtuga grew furious. In a desperate, violent scheme, he kidnapped Datu Makusog and demanded Magayon's hand in marriage as ransom, threatening war if his demand was not met. To protect her father from bloodshed, Magayon reluctantly consented to marry Pugtuga, sacrificing her own future to save her family. But news of the abduction and forced betrothal reached Panganoron, who returned with his men to rescue the chief. A chaotic battle broke out at the site of the coerced wedding. Swords rang, shields shattered, and arrows darkened the air. Panganoron slew Pugtuga in the ferocious fighting, but in the confusion, a stray arrow found Magayon. As she fell wounded, Panganoron rushed to her side, only to be struck down by a final, treacherous stab from one of Pugtuga's last loyal followers. In the silence that followed, Datu Makusog buried the lovers together. They were laid with reverence beneath the soil, their hands still entwined, and the mourners sang low, aching songs that braided grief into the earth. From their grave, the ground rose, trembling, as if the whole island exhaled, until a mountain stood where they had lain, Mayon Volcano, perfect and haunting against the sky. The people tell the old story still. When clouds shroud the peak, it is Panganoron drawing his cloak around Magayon in a final embrace. When rain streaks down the slopes, it is his tears, mourning the love that could not be kept. But legends rarely end with a single telling or a single meaning. The volcano's rumblings are not merely the echoes of a broken heart. They are warnings, reminders of the price of desire, the consequences of pride, and the dangers of envy that can topple kingdoms. Each eruption becomes a retelling, a theatrical rebirth of the tragedy, a dark chorus to the tale of beauty and destruction, locked in an endless, terrible dance. Villagers gasp and point when ash clouds twist like skirts, as if the lovers themselves still move within the mountain's core. The landscape around Mayon is at once paradise and purgatory, a place of abundance braided with ever-present threat. Fertile fields stretch to the horizon, nourished by centuries of ash and lava that have enriched the soil and coaxed stubborn crops into life. Coconut groves sway in the warm breeze. Rice paddies mirror the sky in glassy terraces, and abaca plantations ripple like green seas. All thrive in volcanic soil that seems to promise both bounty and doom. Yet every harvest is a gamble, a wager with fate. The mountain may sleep for years, cloaked in green and peace, only to awaken in fury and scatter livelihoods, homes, and memories like ash on the wind. The people of Bicol have learned to read Mayon's moods as one reads the air before a storm. They watch birds and livestock, feel the change in water and wind, and listen for the subtler shifts of the earth. Before certain eruptions, wells and rivers run low and springs fall silent. Old women appear at doorways asking for water, a portent remembered in many households, passed down like a map marked with danger. These omens are not mere superstition, but hard-won knowledge, traditions built on the memory of loss, lessons paid for in blood and grief by ancestors who learned too late. For centuries, rituals have been performed to appease the spirits believed to dwell within Mayon's fiery heart. The supreme god Gugurang was thought to live in the mountain's core, keeper of the sacred fire that warms and consumes. When the people angered him through greed or neglect, the earth would tremble and fire would spill from the mountain's mouth. Smoke would rise like a warning flag. Offerings were made, prayers whispered at dawn and dusk, and fetishes laid on altars, acts of humility and hope, as if bargaining with the volcano might coax mercy from an indifferent god. Even among the gods, envy and rivalry burn with the same intensity as among mortals. Another myth speaks of Asuang, Gugurang's brother, who coveted the sacred fire and schemed to steal it for his own dark ends. Their struggles split mountains, carved valleys, and set the land ablaze, a cosmic reflection of the human dramas that unfold on the slopes below. In such stories, the divine conflict maps onto everyday life. Tempers flare, neighbors feud, and the mountain answers with thunder, reminding people that discord has consequences beyond the human sphere. Disaster has been woven into daily life for generations. The Great Eruption of 1814 stands as a grim landmark in memory. It killed 12,000 people, buried entire towns beneath rivers of rock, ash, and hot mud, and changed coastlines and livelihoods in its wake. Survivors rebuilt villages atop newer, still settling ground, carrying not only physical scars but also the deep knowledge that another eruption is always possible. Each generation asks the same painful questions. Why stay? Why risk everything to live in the shadow of a mountain that may one day unmake you? The answers are as complex as the land itself. For many, Mayon is not simply a threat, but also a guardian, a source of life as much as death. The mountain's stately cone is a promise that even tragedy can yield beauty, that ruin can be the mother of fertility. The black, mineral-rich soil makes rocky slopes and lowland fields alike astonishingly productive, and every sprouting seed is a testament to human resilience and stubborn hope. The story of Daragang Magayon is more than a cautionary tale. It is a cultural touchstone that teaches people how to love, grieve, adapt, and endure. It reminds them that love, even when doomed, can shape the land itself, and that memory, like lava, reshapes the future, forging landscapes of meaning where loss once lay. Modern science offers its own explanations, systematic and methodical, rooted in observation and measurement. Volcanologists study Mayon's eruptions with instruments and rigor, carefully monitoring gas emissions that rise in invisible plumes, recording seismic activity that trembles beneath the earth, and mapping subtle ground deformation with GPS and satellite imagery. They analyze historical eruption patterns and run computer models, and based on this data, they issue warnings, advisories, and evacuation orders. Their work is driven by a single urgent imperative: to save lives through timely science-based prediction and prevention. Yet even the most rational minds, armed with instruments and expertise, are repeatedly humbled by the mountain's unpredictability and sudden, brutal shifts. In 1993, in a devastating reminder of that unpredictability, 77 farmers and scientists were killed when Mayon erupted with little immediate warning. The tragedy shocked the nation and the scientific community alike, underscoring a grim truth. Nature does not bargain, and even the best systems sometimes fail to foresee its fury. That loss left scars on communities and on the collective memory of the region, shaping how people approach the volcano and how authorities plan for future emergencies. Still, despite the hazards and the history of loss, the people keep returning to the slopes and valleys around Mayon. They rebuild homes with resilient hands, plant new crops in the fertile ash-enriched soil, and renew livelihoods that generations have sustained. Each year in May, they mark the Magayon Festival, a month-long celebration that honors both the volcano and the legend that shares its name. The festival is a riot of color and music. Parades wind through towns, pageants showcase traditional costumes and dances, street feasts fill air with aromas of local cuisine, and communal gatherings stitch together the threads of community memory. It is less an act of defiance than a ritual of resilience, a celebration of survival, and a way to honor the past while embracing whatever future may come. During the festival, the story of Daragang Magayon is retold with reverence and creative flair in dance and song. Performers enact the myth on village stages and in formal theaters. Elders recount the tale to wide-eyed children, and school programs teach new generations the contours of the legend. At the foot of the mountain, children still play in open fields, their laughter ringing and echoing across slopes that, in other eras, ran with fire and ash. Local artists, painters, sculptors, weavers, and photographers produce works that capture the volcano's near-perfect cone, striving to hold on to beauty even while acknowledging the darkness that can lie beneath such grandeur. Mayon, however, is more than a scenic backdrop for celebration and art. It remains a living presence in the daily lives of the people, a constant reminder that stories and rituals cannot by themselves hold back disaster. In 2006, as Typhoon Durian battered the region with fierce winds and torrential rain, the communities of Albay prepared as they always had, following evacuation plans and emergency protocols. Yet, even with preparation, nothing could prevent the massive landslides and lahars that followed, burying entire villages in mud and volcanic debris. In that calamity, the volcano, momentarily silent, seemed to watch as nature reshuffled the landscape and reminded everyone that beauty offers no inherent protection against fate, and that multiple hazards can converge with devastating effect. In the quiet that follows such disasters, when the air is heavy with the scent of wet earth, overturned soil, and the lingering tang of loss, old stories often find new life and meaning. Survivors and relatives gather amid the ruins of places like the partially buried church of Kagsawa, lighting candles, laying flowers, and whispering prayers for the dead. In these vulnerable moments, the legend of Daragang Magayon is retold around hearths and memorials, and sometimes feels less like a fanciful tale and more like a cautionary, elegiac parable. Themes of love and loss, of beauty entwined with destruction, resonate forcefully, reminding listeners that the two are never far apart in human experience. There are also those who insist they have seen something more than metaphor, who claim to have witnessed the figures of Magayon and Panganoron dancing in the moving clouds above the volcano. During eruptions, when smoke, ash, and steam writhe into the sky, people report shapes flickering and coiling in the plumes, images that suggest an intimate embrace. In 2018, a photograph taken by an amateur and shared widely on social media went viral. Many viewers interpreted the swirling volcanic plume as the silhouettes of the lovers, locked in an eternal embrace. Whether such visions are truth or illusion, optical trickery or a genuine sign, they reveal a deep human need to find meaning and pattern in chaos. In the face of overwhelming natural forces, these images, and the stories that persist around them, help communities process grief, seek comfort, and assert a narrative coherence where raw catastrophe might otherwise leave only disorientation. Psychologists might say these stories are ways of coping with the uncertainty of life, narratives that help order chaos and provide a framework for making sense of events that otherwise feel arbitrary and threatening. The volcano becomes a symbol, a living map of meaning, a way to interpret random disaster and persistent danger, to translate the unpredictable into a story with shape and purpose. Yet, for those who live beneath Mayon's shadow, the legend is more than metaphor or theory. It is a tangible bond, a braided thread linking each generation to the last, an inheritance of memory and warning, a promise that whatever happens, they are not alone in bearing the burden. Faith, too, finds a home on the volcano's slopes and folds into daily life with the same quiet persistence as the ash. The Daraga Church, hewn from the very volcanic rock that has shaped the land, stands on a hill overlooking the valley, simultaneously a place of worship, refuge, and practical warning for the community below. Here, prayers mingle with the scent of cooling ash and the faint mineral tang of soot, and hymns reverberate through walls that bear the scars of centuries of eruptions. The church is a living reminder that hope endures, even when the ground itself is unsteady and everything else feels transient. It is a place where people anchor themselves to something larger than fear. In the end, every story about Mayon is also a story about resilience. It is about the refusal to surrender to circumstance, the everyday decision to carve a life out of danger, and the insistence that even in the face of potential loss, meaning can be made and beauty can be found. These are not merely tales of catastrophe, but of reconstruction, of how people plant rice again in cooled lava fields, rebuild homes with trembling hands, and string together small rituals that stitch broken days into a continuing life. If you have your own story of the volcano, of survival, of love lost or found, of small kindnesses that made a difference, share it with us. Your memories join this living tapestry, adding texture and voice to the larger whole. Our email is in the show notes. We welcome letters, recordings, and reflections. You are part of this community now, and your experience will help others feel seen and understood. Find show notes and support options in the description. For more tales of the mysterious and the enduring, consider joining us on Patreon or following our social media, where we post daily folklore facts, behind-the-scenes content, and updates on upcoming episodes. As the night deepens and the volcano's silhouette melts into the dark, a question hangs in the cool air. Is beauty a blessing or a curse? Do we choose our tragedies, or do they choose us? These are not only philosophical queries, but lived dilemmas for those who wake to the mountain's shadow each morning. From the ashes of sorrow, we build the temples of memory, the old ones say, passing wisdom through generations. In every story, there is a wound that never heals. That wound shapes who we are, but it also maps where we have come from and points toward what we might become. For more journeys into the haunted and the unknown, listen to past and future episodes of Stories Philippines podcast. Among them, you may find tales that echo the heartbreak and the hope threaded through the Lady of the Volcano's slopes and other local legends. Stories that linger long after the credits roll. Do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast with others who might find comfort or curiosity in these narratives. Support the podcast financially in the ways listed in the show notes. Every contribution helps keep these stories alive and accessible. Thank you for listening. This has been Stories Philippines podcast. I'm Jessica, wishing you a gentle night and the courage to face the truths beneath every legend. For in the end, the real monsters are often not the ones born of fire and ash, but those that grow quietly in the heart. Grief left unspoken, anger left to fester, fear turned inward. Sometimes, the scariest truth is that we are, in small and large ways, the architects of our own disasters, and also the builders of our own salvations. Good night.